Topic 1. Flipped furniture. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had until recently been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down onto the floor. Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that... Indeed, the key... Steht da? Safe? 43582, okay. The key here is gravity. It would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the earth. For the gravity in this room was reversed, and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness! The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. Das ist, glaube ich, das Dümmste bisher, was gesagt hat. I quite understand your skepticism, Mr. Sato. I too was incredulous at first. However, my conviction in my analysis was cemented when I observed this. An anti-gravity device, almost identical to one that featured in a dream of mine only the other day, in fact. But then why does it have a clock on it? A most relevant question indeed. That is a timing device that controls where the gravity direction will switch. There was clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically. And the commotion we heard earlier from the other side of the door was the moment that restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. So you see, we need look no further to explain the state in which we now find this room. The direction in which the gravity acts in here was reversed by Mr. Dweber, before being restored to normality in an automatic fashion sometime later by the timer device. I have witnessed precisely the scene in a dream I once had when I fell out of bed. Because gravity was reversed. Conclusion. Topic 2. Missing engineer. Now, let us consider the next conundrum. Direction in which action was reversed. Witness precisely the scene in the dream I once had when I fell out of bed. Okay. Now let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend saying? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Of course, Dweber's aim was singular, to escape. However, there's but one way into this room. Accepting the skylight, that is. Ah. By inverting the gravity in here, Dweber was able to fall conveniently to the ceiling and make his escape via the otherwise inaccessible skylight, leaving those footprints behind on the way. But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Jones. If the gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Mr. Dweber have fallen up to the ceiling rather violently? Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically rather interesting concept, I fear. But the man was cornered with nowhere to run, so escape to the skylight was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the road! To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? By anchoring one end to the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling. which explains how Drebber was able to escape this room before our arrival. He reversed the pull of gravity and fled via the skylight. And personally, I should very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again now, just for fun. Conclusion, escape via the skylight. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. She's completely spellbound. Mr. Holmes, there's just one thing that troubles me. I would expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life. The thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean. I would say that with man's current scientific knowledge at the turn of the 20th century, it's no more possible than instantaneous kinesis. Was wir schon als nicht möglich bewiesen haben. But your whole deduction hinges on it. Ah, but my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Das ist ein wirkliches Sherlock Holmes Zitat, also das kommt in den Büchern von. Das ist eine der wenigen Sachen, die ich weiß über Sherlock Holmes tatsächlich. However improbable it may seem. It's a marvelous line, wouldn't you agree? One of my more enduring pearls of wisdom. I had Iris come up with the exact phrasing. My original was clumsy. Yes, I have a feeling I've read it in something that Mrs. Sutter lent me once.
Objection!
Actually, there's one other thing, Mr. Holmes. Ah, the space broken at last. The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it? Indeed it was, in lonely coils near the wall. But if Mr. Drebber had used it to escape in the way you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall? Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find the ropes. And as evidence of such, you need only look at the mystery you face in this room, now skillfully unraveled. That argument is as circular as the coils of the rope. I think perhaps we might need to give Mr. Holmes the usual little helping hand. Coils? Was war? Die Windungen, okay. And circular? Kreisförmig, okay. The usual little helping hand. I'm sure with some minor corrections, the great detective's great deduction will lead us to the truth. Yes, you're right. And we must do it quickly, before Enoch Drebber gets too far away. Ja, das ist sowieso schon zu spät. If you're ready, then let us resume. Sherlock Holmes, logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Holmes. Topic 1. Flipped furniture. Conclusion because gravity was reversed. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had, until recently, been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down onto the floor. Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that... Indeed, the key here is gravity. It would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. For gravity in this room was reversed, and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness! The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part anti-gravity plate in the sole business. To think gravity could have been reversed in this very room, I find the whole idea utterly enthralling. Only Mr. Sholmes could conceive of such an explanation. But the man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility, so... Yes, you're quite right. We must completely discount the idea at once. Oh, that's unusually merciless of you, Miss Susato. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. The great detective himself said so, didn't he? While refusing to part with his dreams of anti-gravity devices. Yes, I suppose so. Well, let's see if examining this topsy-turvy scene a little more closely reveals some proof that shows exactly what the gravity in this room was or wasn't doing. The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the parting gravity. Inverted furniture. Large safe. Ah, look, Miss Susato. When everything seems to be upside down in here, this safe is conspicuously the right way. Yes, that's true. But look more closely at the safe's feet. Ah, there's a lot of very large bolts fixing it to the floor. Think before you speak, that's what you wanted to say, isn't it? I really put my foot in my mouth here. I certainly didn't say that. Okay, large safe. Upright ways. Oh, upright ways. Weil die... Okay.
Take that!
Weil die steht. The upright ways clearly reveals the truth about the gravity plate in the sole business. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, you've surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps? No one is trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Sholmes. Trust me. As you rightly say though, it appears at first glance that all the furniture in the room is upside down. This unassuming slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large safe, there's nothing affixing it to the floor. And it's the exception that breaks the rule. In short, much as it pains me, the gravity in this room was never inverted at all. My deepest sympathies for your loss. Oh, poor Mr. Sholmes. But the show must go on, so let us continue with our deductions. Now that we know this contrivance is not in fact an anti-gravity device, there remains but one other possibility. You don't say. Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here. Which might sound obvious, but leaves one mystery very much unsolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that? Quite, and naturally, there's an explanation. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. He's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with it, isn't he? I'm afraid the lure of an exciting scientific explanation is too strong. Well, there's no doubt that somebody did this. Somebody turned all this furniture over. So whoever it was must have had a reason. I'm afraid nothing comes to mind at all, though. Well, let's look around and see if the answer presents itself. Okay. Safe. Oh, okay.
Take that!
Natürlich, weil die Safe-Kombination haben will. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the same safe combination. Precisely. I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not? Yes, last year, when I bought a lottery ticket and noted the ticket number down on the inside cover of a book just in case. That's it, for people are forgetful souls at heart and always make a written note of important information. Just keeping the ticket itself safe would be more sensible, I think. And what, pray, happened next, Mr. Naruhodo? When the day of the door came round, I'd forgotten which book I'd written the number in and had to turn my room upside down to find it. That's it. For people are forgetful souls at heart, and always forget where they've noted things down. Not if you always note things in the same place. I actually won the second prize, you know? But I couldn't remember which magazine I'd slipped the ticket into. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. But I believe I've proved my point now. I couldn't remember which... Seine Augen auch. Which is that a very similar scenario has clearly unfolded in this room. Finding himself requiring access to the safe, the occupant of this room needed the combination code. He remembered that he'd written it on the underside of a piece of furniture, but forgot which one, leading to the state in which we now find the room. Yes, Mr. Drebber overturned all the furniture in here, in a desperate hurry to locate the combination code that would unlock the safe. Topic 1. Flipped furniture. Conclusion. To find the safe combination. Topic 2. Missing engineer. Conclusion. Escaped via the skylight. Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend saying? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Well, if a change in the direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did those footprints get there? Yes, I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve. I can't think of any other way to explain it, at all. Oh, life was so much simpler in those Halcyon days, when gravity could be reversed. It was minutes ago, and those Halcyon days never existed in the first place. Was is Halcyon? Halcyon. Friedvoll, achso. Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail. Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into this situation in the first place. Okay, balloon. Skylight. Okay, there's an Aufwuchsprinz drauf. This is a gas balloon, isn't it? It's tiny, but it does seem to be a real balloon. Yes, I think you're right. I think it's helium that's keeping it up. A green gas balloon. Why does it seem to ring a bell with me? Weil es auch ein grüner Ballon war, der explodiert war. If you can see, there are footprints on this balloon too. Look! Oh yes, surely that's a clue, isn't it? Though, what it tells us, I'm not sure. Balloon? Shoe. It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there, look! Oh yes, and there are more footprints on this little balloon too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became lodged, do you think? If so, then judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anyone be throwing shoes up the ceiling though? Oh dear, that's beyond me, I'm afraid. Was sonst haben wir auch nichts, oder?
Take that!
Okay, es ist scheinbar der Schuh. The reason there are footprints in the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe. Cool animiert das Ganze. Auch allgemein mit der Schwerkraft gerade. Das ist glaube ich, bisher meine Lieblings-Dance of Deduction. Mein Lieblings-Dance of Deduction. And on closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon. But for what purpose? A green balloon. That seems somewhat familiar data. Ah! It was a piece of a green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruto and I was found at the scene. And inside the green balloon, that Master Guts claimed he saw above the stage when the incident occurred, was the second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception. You mean to say... Oh, okay. If we assume the balloon in here is a model of the one used in the day, ist der Schuh dann ein Model für den birdcage? Für den Käfig? There's a strong possibility something may be concealed inside it. Oder so. Something our absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But the balloon's out of reach. Hence why we saw it to a projectile, namely the shoe. Ah! Most probably, Derber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by assailing it with a shoe. However, his effort was thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights. Oh dear, we desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there was some way we could see inside. You may recall what we found in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope! To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? Mr. Sholmes has managed to bring the deduction back to the rope. Alright, I have to admit, that was clever. So we just throw the rope up to the balloon and then pull it down to us on the ground. Which is much easier said than done, I feel. And could take us a very long time as well. True. Perhaps we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we? Die Armbrust?
Take that!
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this crossbow? That was found at the scene, in fact, and in all likelihood belongs to Mr. Dweber. If the man had only brought it away with him that day, he could have avoided losing a shoe at such a critical time as this. Huh? So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Enoch Dweber has hidden inside that balloon? Okay, gar keine Conclusion. Oh! Ah! What the... Das ist der Kopf von der Wachsfigur. Vom Professor. A waxwork. Indeed it is. A waxwork held inside a metal mask. A mask that is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock. So we can't see the face inside, that means... Just a moment. This is the head of a waxwork model. Does that mean... Oh goodness. I see you've joined the dot, Mrs. Sato. Excellent. Ah, of course. A headless waxwork model. The case of the abducted Madame Tussauds model that you'd largely solved. It was only the head of the killer that was still missing. Also war es auch der Dweber, der das entführt ist das falsche Wort, gestohlen hat. Indeed it was. But I believe Madame Tussauds will now have to settle a sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous professor. Yes. But why is it there? This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the professor from Madame Tussauds and returning it, sans tête, earlier today was none other than Enoch Dweber. This is incredible. Professor Harebraine's case and the waxwork abduction are inextricably linked by Enoch Dweber's workshop. The waxwork head has been entered into the court records. The head of the Professor waxwork that was stolen from the Madame Tussauds special exhibit. Okay. Well, it appears our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. Okay, bevor wir das machen, möchte ich nochmal kurz das untersuchen. Wenn es hier was zu untersuchen gibt. Ein Schlüsselloch ist hier. This lock does look very strong, doesn't it? There's definitely no way you could remove the mask yourself if it was put on you. What a terrible way to treat someone, even a convicted criminal. I know, it's starting to make me livid, actually. Mr. Naruhodo, please. I mean, just think about it. Imagine if you had an itch on your cheek all of a sudden. You'd be utterly helpless. Well, yes, that's true. But I'm not sure that warrants quite so much anger. Oh, right, sorry. Mann. Man merkt, es ist spät, ich passe nicht mal richtig auf. Itch on your cheek all of a sudden, you'd be so. Okay, wenn dich irgendwas juckt, natürlich. All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure. The architect? Was ist jetzt plötzlich? Was geht mit der Musik plötzlich ab? You mean Mr. Dweber? As it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights. Obviously, the man must still be here in the room. What? And his location should be abundantly clear. If you simply reflect on the journey we've made together during this deduction. Enoch Dweber is right here, somewhere in this room. So Mr. Naruhodo, will you do the honors? Yes, of course. Mr. Dweber's hiding place must be the... wardrobe? The safe? Look at all that mess in front of the safe. Yes, plans and accounting ledgers. Almost as if somebody was in a hurry to empty the contents of the safe, in fact. Wardrobe? If you need to hide, there's no better place in a wardrobe. I stand firmly by that. Ah yes, you had some experience of that yourself a year ago, didn't you? We'll find him in there, mark my words. He'll be curled up in a ball, trembling and hungry. In fact, my own hand is trembling just thinking about making the discovery. Never mind, Mr. Naruhodo. He could be hiding somewhere else, you know? Im Safe würde ich vielleicht guessen.
Take that!
Large safe. Before we gain access to the spec room, we heard noises from in here. Which tells us that the engineer was still in the building at this point in time. He was in fact searching for the combination to a safe. And pressed for time, made no attempt to right the furniture that he overturned in the process. Okay. From which we can deduce that the search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Dweber. Geile Musik. Is, at this very moment, inside the safe. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. Conclusion: inside the safe. Solved. Deduction complete. Elementary. Aber jetzt müsste doch auch mal von Siegs ankommen, oder nicht? So, Mr. Naruhodo. I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide and seek, don't you? By opening the safe, you mean? What else? Let's see. The combination was 432582. I knew that. Alright then, here goes. Lol. You found me. Okay. White Dancer, Mr. Ennard Ströber, I presume? Correct. You'd better start talking. You tricked Professor Airwayne with that bogus machine you built. And you shall have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame to Space as well. Which I would be delighted to answer your many questions. Personally, I would advise you to deactivate my little parcel first. Deactivate your parcel? Was ist Parcel? Parcel. Paket. Okay. I refer, of course, to the time bomb I left in a most prominent position. Ah! Ha ha ha. I see. Stunned silence. You're all gearing up to die with me then. No! Uh-oh. Mr. Sholmes, with only 7 seconds to spare. That was too close for comfort. I've got one foot in the grave already. Are you trying to help us get a killer or get us killed? Mr. Sholmes' deductions can be completely life-altering, can't they? Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. The resemblance to an anti-gravity device is really quite startling, I must say. Anti-gravity devices don't exist. Phew, I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes. Converse. What happened here? What on earth happened in here? You found me, haven't you? You don't need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems. Yeah, well, we'll be giving it a thorough going over, don't you worry, Dweber. What fails to click with me is how you were able to locate my workshop that I was not expecting. When I heard whistling from the other room, I knew it was time to bowl. Whistling. Ah, that would have been me. Oh. For some reason, I woke in fine feather today. No words, just tightly squeezed chips. Clearly, I must have a screw loose, though as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one loose, as I couldn't remember on which piece of furniture I'd written it on. We also found a rope over by the wall. Yes, I had hoped to exit through the skylight, but sadly the rope was too short. So, I then set about searching for the combination for the combination code to open the safe. And running the incriminating blueprints, don't forget. Regrettably though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon among the rafters. And after that, you hid yourself inside the safe, having first set this parcel ticking. Well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police. The time bomb. Got a death wish, have ya? Hiding right beside a ticking time bomb. Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? Weil ein Safe, glaube ich, zumindest fiktiv sehr viel Schutz bietet. Ich weiß nicht, wie es in echt ist, aber irgendwie stellt man sich das so vor. It's no ordinary safe. especially designed. A dynamite explosion wouldn't leave a scratch on it. So in fact, the safe was the only safe place. Precisely. But once you'd climbed inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again. I invite you to look more closely. The safe is fitted with a handle on the inside to allow the door to be unlocked from within. Ah, so it is. I had always intended to blow this place to smithereens in any case. I just wasn't expecting uninvited guests to come along and screw up my plans. Do you mean to say you are planning to blow us all up? No, that was unforeseen. What do you mean? Oh man. Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet. Ah, I calculate the time required for retreat to a safe distance and set the device accordingly. But your seemingly endless discourse in here threw a spanner in the works. Ja, ist halt eine Gravity-Device, ne? Kann man nichts machen. Is something wrong, Gregson? Do I have something on my face, besides the usual eyes, ears, nose and mouth? I think we have a fairly good idea of what's been going on here now. But what about the two incidents you've evidently been involved in recently? Professor Harebrain's instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition. And the waxwork model you stole, which this head belongs to. That's no ordinary head, you know? That's the head of the Professor. Clad in a mask with a lock so strong, I'm unable to open it safely to reveal the killer's identity. I've been considering carrying it around as protection after— That's enough! Okay, das forensische Team ist da. Das heißt, es ist over für uns. What's going on here, Gregson? I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here. Oh, yes, well, Dr. Scythe again. For the forensic investigation team are here. So the forensic investigation team are here. So, 3:30, da spricht man nicht mehr so gut. And you know full well this engineer is a key witness. Why are you allowing this lawyer access to him? If Lord Strong had news of this, you'd be finished. You lot, leave at once. My dear madam, there's no need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. After all, that's no way to greet an old acquaintance, is it, Dr. Scythe? Oh, die kennen sich? Hello, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes knows Dr. Scythe. If it's protecting the machine next door that's causing such a sore expression on your face, you are quite misguided. It's really nothing more than a shell. You— Get out! But of course, we show ourselves the door. I see you haven't softened at all. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? It would appear that our delightfully entertaining investigations have run their course for today. But Mr. Sholmes, let us leave this place in the doctor's capable hands. I said get out. Now, all of you. Your presence here is not required either, Gregson. Understood. But I'll just say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never have found this place, and the whole workshop would have been blown to bits. There was a time bomb set in here that this lot disarmed. Inspector. Something given you a chuckle, has it, Grabber? Ah, so sorry. Didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? Yes, you did the that one. Eh? What are you? That one? Yeah, I mean... Oh nein. 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 Was? €5 für den Grafiker für die Explosion, aber was? It was an hour later that we heard the news of the enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage at the Great Exhibition. Nein. Nein. Dann ist jeder Beweis weg, dass das einfach nur eine Konstruktion war. Professor Hairbrain's invention and all its secrets were blown away forever. Nein. Das kann doch nicht sein. To be continued. Na, natürlich. To be continued. Ich meine, es ist 3:30. Ich muss ins Bett. Das ist gut, dass to be continued ist. Aber doch nicht bei so einem Cliffhanger. Uff. Uff, 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 uff. RIP. Bisher muss ich sagen, gefällt mir dieser Fall sehr, sehr gut. Ich bin gespannt auf sehr viele Sachen. Auf den Apprentice. Das jetzt basically confirmed Kazuma ist, aber der scheinbar eine Amnesia hat, wie Kazuma das überlebt hat, warum Sherlock uns uns angelogen hat und ja, wer der Täter ist, ich glaube, das ist jetzt klar, ich denke mal, es ist Dweber, wenn er schon dieses Beweismittel zerstört hat. Und ja, was der Fall mit dem Professor noch zu tun hat mit dem, mit diesem Fall. Warum hat der Dweber diesen Wachsfigurenkopf vom Professor bei sich in der Werkstatt? Warum ist die Banane krumm? Genau. Das sind so die Fragen, die jetzt aufgeworfen wurden und die dann hoffentlich, ja, morgen, wenn ich weiterspiele, geklärt werden. Ich bedanke mich recht herzlich fürs Zuschauen. Ich bedanke mich recht herzlich fürs Dabeisein. Das war eine recht lange Aufnahmesession, länger als ich gedacht hätte. Auch eine sehr lange Investigation, aber es war spannend. Es war sehr, sehr spannend. Die Deduction-Sequenz war bisher die beste Deduction-Sequenz, die ich bisher gesehen habe. Ich denke, wir haben noch ein paar vor uns, weil wir haben ja noch nach dieser Episode 2 Episoden nach. Episode 4 und Episode 5. Ja, aber auf jeden Fall schon mal unter meinen Favoriten. Genau, und ansonsten haben wir die Fragen, die ich gerade aufgelistet habe, und die werden wir hoffentlich bald lösen. Gut, ich wünsche euch was. Ich wünsche euch eine gute Nacht, einen schönen Abend, einen schönen Tag oder wann auch immer ihr das guckt. Wir sehen uns in der nächsten Aufnahmesession wieder. Ich bedanke mich, sage gute Nacht, ciao, ciao. Und natürlich Einspruch. So, bis dann. Tschüss.